What are 4 of the most common drum patterns that you can play? Maybe in CCM, maybe in other styles of music. That was my question when I decided I'm gonna continue into my desire to be a drummer one day. And I have my friend Josh here with me. Come on in, Josh.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, man.
Standing out in the cold, wondering if you were gonna ask me to come in.
Sorry, my bad. It is cold today. Josh has been our drummer here at my church. He was our drummer here at my church for a long time.
20 years.
Yeah, probably, because you learned here basically. I trust this guy, and I know he's got a lot of information that he wants to share, and he's actually has started a YouTube channel called...
It's called Josh Rosh Official.
Josh Rosh Official. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Was that kind of how you would say?
Yeah, it's a good explanation. And
okay.
I've got 4 of what I think are the most common drum grooves, beats, concepts.
So let's go hear this. You going to do that right here, or should we go to
I mean, I could hit the table. It might be hard to hear what I'm playing, but
it'd probably be pretty boring.
Let's go out to the drum set.
Yeah, you want to go out there?
Let's do it.
Let's go. See you guys out there.
What I'm going to be going over today is 4 of what I think are the most common, or some of the most common drum grooves played in worship music. Now, obviously, this isn't just for worship music. I mean, it can be used in pop or rock or country. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on into the first one. That is gonna be just your basic kick pattern, or 4 on the floor, as some people call it. I'm gonna give a couple of examples as we go through, just so you can kind of put context to what I'm talking about song-wise. So I'm gonna be using 2 songs for this first example. The first one is gonna be Shouted Out by Vertical. Shout it out, he's me. And then the second song is gonna be Won't Stop Now by Elevation. The reason I want to do 2 of those is because they're both using kick drum patterns, but in different grooves or different rhythms. So the first one is Shouted Out. Now this one actually starts with the hi-hat, but about halfway through the intro, it comes in with the kick 4 on the floor. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play an example of that just to kind of show you what that looks like. All right, and so basically that hi-hat and kick pattern, that carries from the intro all the way through the first chorus before it then kind of goes up a notch and evolves into something else. Switching over to Won't Stop Now. Again, this has a slightly different kick pattern, but still kind of the same idea. Those 2 examples at their most basic form. If you check out my video, I go way more in depth on adding dynamics based around these concepts and grooves. So check that out over on my page. But I do just want to kind of give you an example of what it would look like, kind of at the peak of that dynamic range, especially with the Shouted Out song. So I'll go ahead and play that, and this is kind of where it goes to, kind of towards the end of the song and the outro. So there you go. That is the first most common, and these aren't in any particular order. I'm just kind of going from the most basic to a little bit more complex. And you can be any proficiency, any skill. You don't have to be some wizard of the drums in order to play these. That's why I kind of go through the different dynamic ranges of the same concept. The second one I'm getting into is going to be just your standard snare on 2 and 4. The example that I like to use for this song is Goodness of God by BETHEL. And the reason I like to use that is because it kind of goes in the entire dynamic range through the entire song just based off of this same beat. The drums don't come in until the first chorus, and I'll show you an example of that. It's just you're only hitting the kick drum like once every 2 measures in the first chorus. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, and then again, this one builds on itself just around that same groove. So I'll again show you kind of what it looks like as it gets to the highest peak, which is going to be after the bridge, after a build up, and it goes back into the chorus, and then they're playing full out, crashing on the ride. So again, 2 examples of that on extreme ends. So let's move on to number 3. This one is probably the most common of any type of worship song or songs at all, and that's just your standard build-up. I'm pretty sure that when David was writing the Psalms, he had a couple build-ups in some of his songs as well, so that's how far back these things go. Sorry. And the good thing with a build is that you can literally build on anything. You can build just starting with the kick and the floor tom. You can do both toms. Another one I like to do is the hi-hat and the floor tom. Then you got crash and ride cymbals or crash cymbals. And then you've got your classic snare and floor tom build. And then to kind of bring it all together, once you get to the end of that build, a lot of times you like to use your crash or your ride and your snare. And then one of the songs that I like to use an example on this with is Who You Say I Am by Hillsong. Because that one has a bunch of different builds, and what I like to do, at least as far as when I play the song, is I like to use a couple of those different methods. So on this one, I'll start on the floor tom and the snare, and then I'll evolve that into the snare and the crash cymbal. I'll just show you a quick little example of that. And again, you can do anything you want to with that build. And then the last one that I want to take a look at, I call this the Bethel groove, because this one, again, has been on probably every single Bethel song since about 2015. What we're doing on this one is we're hitting the snare on beat 4. And again, you can do any combination of that with this groove. I'll start super basic and just do kick drum and then snare on the 4. The song that I like to use for an example of this is God of Revival. Specifically in, pretty sure it's the 2nd verse, when he starts with what will my heart fear. So I'll just show you by playing a little example of that on what they do on that section. And again, you can take that in any direction that you want to. I like to use the snare and crash on the ride at the end of that to really put an emphasis on that beat 4. A lot of times I'll do that and go into a build-up, or do that going into a big chorus. But like I said, you can use that for any kind of context. And again, check my video out on my page to run the whole gamut of the dynamic range of using that groove.
Well, that's it.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video, for real. I feel like I learned 4 different drum grooves.
Well, that's kind of good, because that's exactly how many drum grooves I talked about.
That's good. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It's really cool that you got this far. If you want to learn more about Josh and what he does on his channel, and just learn more about drums in general, go to his channel. I've linked it below. You'll also see a little circle come up at the end of this video. Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll put it on the end slate too. absolutely.
Nice.
And he goes into more depth on that. He does some drum covers and some other stuff too. So anyway, thank you guys so much again for watching this video. If you like what you see and you want to see more stuff like this, hit that like button. If you want to subscribe and hang out with us as we upload future videos, we'd love to have you. So consider doing that as well. And remember, great worship leaders are, do you know the saying?
A dime a dozen.
A dime a dozen.
Wow.
That's actually not true.
Right.
Yeah.
They're the opposite.
Yeah. Great worship leaders are always learning. We'll see you guys next time.